Yep, I finally gave up on my robot vacuum, because even after SwitchBot sent me a replacement S10 vacuum, both of the docks have now started playing up. I keep on getting
Failed to communicate with water station. I'm going back to charge now.
from the water dock, and the main charging dock is completely unresponsive now. And the vacuum itself can't even find the charging dock anymore. So every time it finishes cleaning, I have to go and place it back on there manually in order to get it to charge. And then every 10 minutes or so, it lets out this as if it's just started charging again. And all of this has got me thinking about the effort equation of smart tech. Hi, I'm James, and I've been building out my smart home for years, with products from just about every manufacturer out there, figuring out what works and what doesn't. Every piece of tech that you add to your life has to improve the effort equation. It has to remove more little hassles from your day than it adds over time. And everybody's equation is different. And as a tech reviewer, I know full well that I'm much more biased towards considering that equation to being balanced by a given device. So when I finally have to give up on a product, you know it's because that balance over time has been hugely out of whack. And that's the way it eventually became for my S10. When it first arrived, it was a definite time saver, keeping the floor vacuumed and mopped with very little input. And that even became better over time with Matter support and the eventual ability to vacuum a specific room via Matter. And this meant that I could add a button in my kitchen which just vacuumed and mopped the end of our kitchen after the kids have eaten, and that means that I never needed to pull out my phone to use that app anymore. But after a year or so, it started to have problems, even though I was keeping up with the maintenance. In fact, I was more than keeping up. I was not able to go even a month without doing a full clean-out job, a job that my wife and I grew to hate. And that's what put the final nail in the coffin for me. See, SwitchBot really marketed this device as the maintenance-free vacuum and mop. And that claim seems to be solely based on the fact that you don't have to empty or refill the water station because of the plumbed-in water dock. And I really like that feature. That does remove the most frequent bit of maintenance, but besides that, it is hardly maintenance-free. In fact, I'd have taken a weekly water swap over the maintenance that I did have to do on it any day. For example, I remember them making a big deal out of the fact that it had a straight path from the internal dustbin to the charging station to avoid dirt getting stuck on the way out. But this seems to have made no difference to how often I would open up the internal dustbin to find it chock full of dust. And despite always having adequate floor cleaner in it, the water dock often began to smell, and I'd have to clean out its filter and the internal wastewater tank on the robot itself far more often than I'd have liked to. And as I mentioned, this reached the point where SwitchBot even sent me a replacement robot. But then the problems with the docks began, and I just finally had enough and ended up requesting a return. Overall, it has been really convenient to generally not have to physically run a vacuum and a mop around that area for the past almost 2 years. But if I look back honestly, do I feel like I've spent more time and energy cleaning out that vacuum and dreading cleaning it out than I would have spent running a normal vacuum around and keeping that vacuum clean? Yeah, probably. So has it been worth the money? I'm not so sure. And it is this way with all tech. Over the time that I've been running my smart home, this real debt of effort has built up with some of my battery sensors. After a year or two of running a lot of them, they suddenly all need batteries replacing at around the same time. And now I'm looking at forking out a small chunk of money to buy all the different coin cells required to keep them all going for a few more years. But by the time I need the next batteries out of these packs, they'll either have lost most of their capacity over time, or I'll have misplaced them. And before you know it, the value of the original sensors has been eclipsed by the cost of running them, both financially and in effort. And this is why I've recently become a particular fan of companies that are making their sensors a little bit bigger to accommodate AAA batteries. That way you can build up a larger stock of a single type of battery, which you can easily get in a rechargeable variant, and then swap them easily and keep a charge set ready for the next one that dies. And wherever possible, I much prefer a sensor that is powered by USB-C because it's almost always easy enough to run a cable back to a socket somewhere, even if it's a little bit ugly. And especially as so many sockets these days have USB ports built into them. As ever though, I am happy to be proven wrong. So coming back to robot vacuums, if any of you know of a robot vacuum and mop that does a better job with less hassle, then do let me know down in the comments. And hell, if there's a company out there that makes one that's willing to put its money where its mouth is and send me one that works well with Home Assistant, then feel free to get in touch using the form on my website. But anyway, this experience has inspired me to start working on another video on how to build a truly low maintenance smart home. So if you're interested in that, do make sure that you're subscribed. And if you have any tips of your own for how to keep a smart home as low maintenance as possible, let me know those down in the comments too. Thanks, as always, for watching my little rant about robot vacuum maintenance. And as always, remember, home is where the smart is.